one, it was a piece of advice my mom gave me.
Yeah.
She was like, I think you need to know who you are before you get married.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was the hardest year of our entire relationship, was just unearthing, like, what am I about to bring into this marriage? I thought I knew Aaron because we had been together for 5 years, and I really didn't.
Right.
I mean, as much as you think. And so that 1 year of therapy before gave me the gift to choose him at the altar.
I came from a dysfunctional family. My family was not Christian. I became a Christian when I was 16, and there we were. So some of it was, I don't want to be like them. Mm-hmm. And they stayed married. That's what's interesting, you know. Welcome to HomeWord. I'm Jim Burns. You know what? You're going to love this podcast. I just want to guarantee you that you're going to love this podcast. You're not going to be disappointed. So I'm the dad of 3 daughters. Many of you know that. So we've had no hormones or drama in our life. They're now beautiful moms, and they're beautiful, you know, married people. But I'm kind of partial. When I meet a young woman who is brilliant and is a good mom and cares deeply about marriage and just is authentic, well, I get excited because I think my girls are kind of like that too. And today you're going to meet an amazing woman who is that person and more. Her name is Haven. And she's got a great podcast named, Haven, as well as an e-course that we're going to talk about called Pillow Talk. And it's actually called Pillow Talk, How to Fight Better. And it's an e-course with her husband, Aaron, as well as Dr. Kood, who is their therapist. So I've never interviewed anybody who's put something like a course or a book together with their therapist. So I got to ask about this as well. So the great thing about her is that she lives in the Los Angeles area. She's doing great things. She has a wonderful business career, but she also cares deeply about helping people, and she's making a difference in this world, and that's awesome. The other bit of kind of backstory with Haven is she kind of has a famous mom. And, it's funny because I didn't watch this show, but when I tell people about this show, they kind of freak out. Her mom is the beautiful and amazing Lisa Whelchel. And that, of course, is Blair on the television show Facts of Life. Now, I have met Lisa once. It was in Texas. I actually interviewed her when I was doing some radio. And you know what my experience was? I went, wait, this is a famous person, and yet she was so normal. She was just awesome. She even asked me a question about parenting, which cracked me up. But anyway, she's from that family. Her mom is cool. And we're so happy to have Haven with us. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. You're right. My mom is super cool.
Yeah. How cool to have a famous mom. What's it like to have a mom who was like so famous?
I mean, when you're a kid, it just feels normal. So she would just get stopped all the time. And we're just like, okay, Mom, like, let's leave the grocery store.
Right.
Didn't really notice. But as an adult, I think I kind of came to terms with, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. Like, you're super talented and you're successful. And I've just known you as an incredible mom. So to see that someone can do both was like really cool.
That is really a neat role model for you that she was able to do that. But yet I felt like she was just like normal. I mean, she didn't come in within. I've interviewed many people who are kind of well known. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they come in with the entourage or whatever. She did. She just was in like her Texas clothes, and she just kind of zoomed in and was just so natural.
Yeah, when I see her with makeup and hair, I'm like, what interview are you doing today? Because it's just not her vibe at all.
Yeah, cool.
And she is normal, and she's super shy. Like, that's, I think, what people would like not anticipate. Like, not only it's like low ego, but also like pretty socially concerned and like anxious. And so like you can't tell at all because her character, she can like turn it on for acting or, go in the presence for speaking. But naturally, she's pretty reserved.
There are so many actors. There's a lot of people in the ministry profession who are like that, too. They're totally introverts. They're kind of anxious. They're kind of quiet. And then they get in front of somebody and they just do that.
Those poor introverts with talent.
No, I know. It probably drives them nuts at times. So part of your story, and we're going to talk your story, part of your stories was actually that your parents got a divorce in 2012. An amazing dad, an amazing mom, and, kind of didn't work out. They were very much involved in the church. So you were, a kid kind of growing up, and all of a sudden there was this divorce. How did that work in your life?
The ground fell out under me.
Yeah.
I mean, just point blank.
Sure.
Divorce is pretty tough.
Yeah.
And growing up, it was like, other people get divorced, we'll never get divorced.
Yeah.
And so I kind of hung my hat on that. Like, it was just a non-issue.
Right.
Never concerned at all.
Right.
And so then when it happened, I was just like shocked. And thankfully, I will say that like in terms of divorce, I have so much respect on how it was handled.
Yeah.
They told us together and they said, and we've lined up family therapy like every week for this summer so we can kind of flesh out this wound and talk about this. And so I felt like I was able to ask all the questions, have all the big messy feelings, and like kind of come to my own understanding or terms with it.
Yeah.
They never speak badly about one another, like ever.
It's amazing.
To this day, we are still able to have like Christmases together and like Thanksgiving. And I know that's not everyone's story.
Right.
And I don't want to downplay how I would not wish divorce on people.
Right.
But I'm appreciative of what they did. But yeah, it was literally the same year I was planning to get married. Wow. And so that to me was like, man, if what I saw didn't work, if how they handled it that I've kind of like seen as like, well, this is my standard, didn't work, it did reshuffle the deck for me.
Yeah. And I think you said that so well, because we have so many listeners and watchers on our YouTube channel who they're single parents, and that happened to them. And now they're going, how do I co-parent with somebody? And it's great to hear a co-parenting good story, because a lot of times they are hard stories, and your story isn't the same as everybody else's. But I thought it was interesting that you said the world kind of changed for you, and it does, no matter what your age. I mean, you were a young adult, but it still changed big time.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. There's a book, it was called like I think it's called Adult Children of Gray Divorce.
Yeah.
And it's talking about how you think, if we wait, it's going to be, better, easier for the kids. And there's an argument for that, and I can understand that too. Sure. But I do think it also downplays how it still affects adult children. Yeah. And I think that also reading that helped kind of understand like, no, everything did still change even though I'm outside of the home. Right. And so I think just resources, I think honestly the family therapy helped a lot. I had never done therapy before that. Yeah. I didn't really have a need to, which is also a really big testament to them.
Sure.
But when that happened, I was like, wow, this is, substantial impact that I think I would have underestimated, and I wouldn't have sought that out myself.
Right. They actually did this thing right. I mean, it's funny from what you said, it's the world in which I live in, to have therapy already lined up for you, and you have a brother and a sister. Yep. Right. Yeah. That is really cool. Well, I give them how they did this. I give them the HomeWord People of the Year. So they're pretty awesome. You married your high school sweetheart, Erin, and you guys have been married 12, almost 13 years. Now, sometimes that works. I mean, when I hear that somebody married their high school sweetheart, I go, oh gosh, I hope this is going to work. Because sometimes it goes one way, or sometimes they grow apart. Yeah. That didn't happen for you. What was it like marrying the high school sweetheart?
Well, I never planned on it. I wasn't the kid who dreamed about her marriage. Yeah. I dreamed about being the president of the United States. Yeah. And I was so serious.
I'm thinking of voting for you, by the way.
I would take it. I may run one day.
So I'll be your campaign manager.
Thank you. Thank you. And I was like, that's what I was thinking. I literally never dreamed about that. And I met my husband actually when I was 13. And we started playing music together. And we were friends for 2 years. I wasn't allowed to date even. Sure. Like, what are you going to do at 13, Yeah, right. But he was my best friend. And then when it became time allowed to date, he asked my brother, because they were friends, and he was like, hey, bro code, like, sorry to admit it, I like your sister. And my brother was like, yeah, man, you can, but you're going to have to ask my parents. Like, she's not allowed to date yet. And so he then went to ask my parents. And they gave, and they're like, we've known you, like, we're cool with it if you want to. Like, and so we dated, but I also, I'm a pretty old soul, and so I just literally would tell him, like, thank you so much for being such an amazing, like, first boyfriend experience. Yeah. I was like, I feel like you set the tone of, like, what to expect. And he kept saying, like, we're still dating. Stop calling me your first boyfriend. Yeah. And I was like, well, you know what I mean? Like, it just never goes past that. And I was like, and I'm so grateful for what this was, and I love it. And he was like, okay, well, you just need to stop saying that. And I was like, okay, fine. And then, but we kept dating, and he's 2 years older, but he finished college in 5 years because he's an artist. Right. And I finished in 3 years because I'm overachiever. So we're going to end at the same time. So I remember actually praying, and I was like, God, I'm deeply in love with this person, and he's the best person I've met. And I probably could have broken up and dated whoever. I didn't see anyone more interesting. Right. I was like, but just because that, I don't want to assume that it's the best out there, or it's what you have for me, just because it's what I've known. Right. And I was like, and I've guarded my heart from thinking about marriage, because I think it's dangerous to have dreamt about that and you have something, and I'm just so far down a path. Right. I was like, so I've never really considered. I was like, but, Aaron had told me he wanted to, and I was like, nope, not ready. I was like, but as we're about to graduate, I was like, God, either help me have a peace about this decision, or let me know it's not right and help give me the courage to make a hard choice.
Yeah.
I was like, I know that you're probably going to let it be up to me. I was like, but if you really do have something that's not aligned with this, I'm open to it.
Yeah, great.
And then like within 2 weeks, I felt like the floodgates opened of my heart. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to marry him. I can't wait to dream. And so then we were married like 4 months later.
Amazing story. That's amazing. It's funny when you said 3 years, because I only know one other person who went through college in 3 years. It's my wife, Kathy. Totally overachiever. Did it in 3 years. And I always said she did it because we got married 1 week after college. And she goes, no, I was just an overachiever. I wasn't doing it just, for
go, Kathy.
Yeah, but I just laughed because I was looking for the kudos of, you're doing this because you want to marry me. And she was like, no, actually, I do want to marry you, but I would have done 3 years anyway because that's who I am. That's both good and bad. I can see that you're like my wife. Interesting thought about people your age. As you look at millennials, and you're in an interesting place because you're the lowest end of the millennials, the highest end of Gen Z in terms of, I'm guessing your age. I don't never ask a woman their age, but in that world, they meandered toward stuff. So you didn't meander toward marriage. You got married right out of college. So you are an old soul. But the interesting side to this generation of millennials, this is who I study, millennials and Gen Z. And one of the things that I think is really positive, and people just rip on your generation sometimes, old people do. And, there's some reasons, and most of them are wrong. But one of the things that's true is that they want to be great parents, and they want to have good marriages. Once they meander toward this, so you're not the norm in terms of that. They're a little bit older when they get married. Well, how does that play into your part of your calling to do the Pillow Talk course that we're going to talk about, things like that?
Well, I probably have my own personal theory about why people do that, just from talking with my friend groups. I live in Los Angeles, and it's I would say even so delayed in later.
Yeah, right.
I don't think people are against the notion of choosing someone for life. I think that's actually still a tried and true, evergreen desire.
Right.
I think many of us either grow up with broken families, or marriages that were like, I don't want to replicate that. Yeah. Like they're just surviving. Yeah. And so I think it's the delay of, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
I'm concerned that even love isn't going to be enough.
Right.
And if I'm going to lock into something, I felt the pain of when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I felt the distress and the, after effects, especially when kids are involved, but even when they're not. So I would say my generation's kind of delayed, not because we don't want it, but pretty scared of not knowing how to do it in a way that's sustainable. I feel like my generation's asking, how do you make it last? Yeah. And how do you still enjoy?
Yeah,
them? Right. So I feel like that's also part of contributing into it.
Yeah, no, and they're putting energy into it. They're listening to your podcast, and they're getting some good input on that kind of thing in a very different way than us old people who are like, man, we're into super heavy content. Let's get going. And, that's what your parents were raised on. But a new generation kind of wants to get to know you. This is why I told you I listened to your podcast, and I just went, oh, she's so authentic and she's so awesome. Your generation wants to learn that way. And so we need new ways of communicating. But the fact is, where you got back at it, whether it's because it was delayed or because they came from broken homes or whatever, they want marriage to work. They want their parenting to work. So let's talk about that for a minute. So you and Aaron, and I just love this, that you also have Dr. Jonathan Cood. You put together an excellent e-course. And by the way, I went through it word for word. I went through the whole course. Okay?
No way.
I totally went through it. It's sitting in my office right next door to this studio. And specifically, it's on how to fight better. And like I said, I told you this before. I've never heard of someone writing a course with their therapist. I just love that. But I love this guy just with some of the quotes that you have in the course. I mean, what an amazing person. How did you and Aaron decide to do this e-course, on how to fight better with your therapist?
Okay. I'll take you back to even just the inception of the podcast.
Yeah.
So I started podcasts because a lot of my friends are like, we have interesting conversations, just put a mic to what we're talking about. And I was like, I'm going to try 2 episodes and see if I like it. And I'm a working mom, so my Gen Z nannies were like, do TikTok. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do TikTok. They're like, if we do long, we'll cut it up for you. I was like, okay, great. Yeah, we'll do it together. Sure. So I did 2 episodes, and the first clip I ever posted went viral on social media and got like 5 million views.
5 million.
Yeah, my first clip. I was like, what is happening to my phone? I was like, this is like blowing up. So I was like, okay, I think I struck a nerve somewhere.
Yeah.
I was like, but the podcast, the tagline is a safe space for curiosity and conversation.
Yeah, love it.
Where I was like, I just want to talk about what I'm interested in. And some of it's going to be marriage. Some of it's parenting, friendships. Yeah. I'm asking, are we doing Botox now? Like just what are we talking about?
Right.
But about a year or 2 into the podcast, I was like, I wonder why people are coming back. Like what are they listening to me for? So I pulled some of the listeners, and the number one thing was marriage. And they were like, we don't know what it's like, because I'm 33. They're like, we're interested of like, how do you have marriage in today's society? What does it look like in an everyday thing? Like, how does it actually like play out? And they're like, we either like haven't seen it or we've seen it and it doesn't translate.
Right.
So when I heard that, I was like, I don't want to make my whole podcast about marriage because I'm interested in other things.
Right.
I was like, but one way I can do that is through an e-course. Yeah. And we've seen Dr. Kood for actually 13 years because we did it a year before we got engaged.
That's amazing.
Well, it was the piece of advice my mom gave me. Yeah. She was like, I think you need to know who you are before you get married.
Yeah, that's good.
And it was the hardest year of our entire relationship. Was just unearthing, like, what am I about to bring into this marriage? I thought I knew Aaron because we had been together for 5 years, and I really didn't.
Right.
I mean, as much as you think. And so that 1 year of therapy before gave me the gift to choose him at the altar and vice versa, where I'm like, obviously we're going to work on stuff, nothing's cleaned up, but I know who I'm choosing.
Wow.
And then we would use him for the first couple of years because I was like, if I want to be great at marriage and have something that lasts like golf. Yeah. I'm like, I need a coach. Like, show me to tuck my elbow. Tell me before I get a shoulder injury, you know? So Dr. Kood did that, where he helped us have healthy ways to communicate to one another. And then now we just do it ad hoc. But when I was like, if I want to help other couples and I want to do an e-course, I can definitely share from experience of what every day looks like. But the tools were learned from Dr. Kood.
That's really good.
He's the one who literally was there. He knows us. And I was like, I would like to see if he'd be interested because we'll be the couple on the couch. You're the one who taught us. Like, you're guiding us in this. We're clearly not experts on the tools.
Right.
But I do know that, like, I love our marriage and I'm super proud of it. And I'm in love with you. And we made a lot of work. And so I was like, so I think there's that tangible. So I was like, if we can do it together, I think that's probably better than if we just do like secondhand what he taught us.
Yeah. No, man, that's amazing. You are. I've said you're amazing at the beginning. I'm now saying amazing because you're incredible.
Thanks.
In the first session of that course, again, it's called Pillow Talk, and it's on how to fight better of all things. But you talk about this, and what's fascinating about it is you say conflict is the price you pay for intimacy. So intimacy means connection. Women get it better than men. Men just think it's about physical intimacy. Intimacy, awesome. I love that word. But it's really about connection. But you put the word conflict with intimacy. Mm-hmm. Talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, my husband and I, we have a lot of things we're aligned on, but we're really different people.
Yeah.
And with different people comes friction or differences of opinions. And especially working through anything in life, like it's. I mean, you know better than I do of what that means.
Yeah.
And so what I've seen is the couples who are like, we never fight, like we never have issues. I think it's a red flag. I think it means there's one of you is not being honest.
Yes.
You're doing it for the sake of false peace. Someone might be steamrolling. Like, you're different people. Like, you're not meant to agree on everything. You're not meant to see the world from the exact same perspective.
Right.
So if I want to be known, and I really mean I want my husband to know me, mind, body, soul, heart, everything, then I got to be honest who I am. Yeah. That means we're going to disagree, and we're going to have different opinions. So how do we do that in a way that brings us closer, where we're attacking the problem and not each other?
Yeah, right.
And how can we lean into conflict? Because I think conflict's amazing. I think conflict with marriages, I think it's with like my business partner, my employees, like the best ideas come out of this friction. When there's groupthink, I think we're probably not at the best idea. Mm. And so I think that if we see that as like, it's a really beautiful thing when you have these guardrails. I'm not going to name call. I'm not going to switch track and talk about something else. I'm not going to weaponize your vulnerabilities that you've told me. Like, if you can do it in a way where, and obviously no one's perfect. I'm not like here to be like, yeah, we have perfect fights all the time. But if there's certain like specific parameters, it actually brings the best out in us.
Yeah, you're right. It does that. You know, I always say that communication is a learned trait. So the illustration that you're giving me is phenomenal. The stuff you were just said is incredible in the world of marriage. However, what you're also telling us is that you learn how to do this. You communicate. You're going to communicate. Sometimes you communicate like your parents. Sometimes you communicate the opposite of your parents, whatever. But when someone can come alongside you and help you learn to communicate, because it's a learned trait. There's a guy actually in Hollywood. He was the founder of eHarmony.com, and he's a mentor in my life. I'm old. He's older than me. And one day he said, I was talking about Kathy and I embracing our differences. And he said, well, Jim, communication is a learned trait, kind of like a coach would say. And he's a therapist. His name is Neil Clark Warren. And that was an aha for me. But that was an aha for me way into my marriage, as opposed to you figuring this out earlier. You talked about differences. And in the e-course, you talk about, dealing with differences, and you had some really good, points on that. How did you guys learn to deal with your differences?
I mean, we're still dealing with
Sure.
I'm trying to think. I think it's just appreciating that we're different, and I think sometimes when you get married, it's like I love all of the ways you're different from me, and it's probably why I fell in love with you. Then slowly over time, it's like, now change and be like me.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And I think that's the danger part of like the reason you fell in love with them is now the things you're trying to change.
Right.
And the assumption is that you're right.
Yeah.
And I think it's so subconscious we don't even realize we're doing
So Haven, you're 33 years old. These are things that a lot of us learned, and I teach that. What you were drawn to the differences, and now you want them to be like. How do you know this stuff?
I just think I'm super curious.
Yeah.
And I'll read anything. I'll listen to anything.
Yeah, you're amazing.
I'll digest, and then I kind of like to throw it out the window and either let like my intuition, Holy Spirit take over.
Yeah.
But I don't use that as, I'm just going to go with that.
Right.
I like to observe all the ways to do something and then determine what's right for the moment, what's right for me, what's right for who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just a lifelong learner.
Yeah.
And I find it fascinating. And I think I feel like 12 years, like we've had different journeys. There's Esther Perel, and she has this amazing quote, which says, most of us in our lifetime will have 2 or 3 different marriages. And for some of us, that'll be with the same person.
Love it.
And I feel like it's the same. Aaron and I have had 2 or 3 different marriages.
Yeah, already.
And I'm like, that number's so low.
Yeah, so you might have 6 marriages. You may have more because, again, you've already done that. Yeah, that's a great comment. Listen, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back. I hardly want to take the break. Haven is with us today. Don't forget to check out our podcast notes. All the information on her podcast and this incredible e-course that we're talking about, how to fight better, is in the podcast notes. So check out the course. It's cheaper than therapy. She said that.
No, our therapist, I have to add, because I was like, you're going to make therapists mad. And he's like, I'm allowed to say that. So I'm always like, want to quote it and be like, he's the one who said it was cheaper than therapy.
Yeah. So I say that all the time. I have a good friend who I say he's cheaper than therapy, and I just go have lunch and we laugh because we need to laugh. And, so whatever it is. Listen, we're going to be right back. More to come. Don't go away. Hi, Jim Burns here. I am so excited about what's going on at HomeWord. Some of you are just learning that things are changing around here, and one of the most exciting things changing is our new president, Marcus. And Marcus, tell us what's going on with HomeWord.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. Really appreciate it. So excited to share with you, give you a glimpse of what God is doing in this new season at HomeWord. And it's a blend. It's a blend of new and tried and true. And our mission right now is, how do we take these 4 decades, these 40 years of ministry, of resources, of principles that God has been changing lives throughout the nation and beyond, and expand that, but also tether it to a younger generation. And the way we're going to do that is through a blend of tried and true resources and principles and events, as well as new initiatives. And I'll start off with the new. On the new side, we have a new website We are rebranding. We've got new staff. We've got new faces and new voices to our growing social media presence, and that is wonderful. But also on the tried and true side, we've got a Refreshing Your Marriage retreat that has been an amazing, impactful event. We've got our conferences like Trainer for Trainers and our resources like our books that we're going to continue to write and expand and change lives. Speaking of which, Jim, share with us the latest update of what's going on in the book world here at HomeWord.
You got it. And I'm excited about your leadership, and I'm excited about where we're going at HomeWord. It's going to be pretty incredible. We've got a book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. We have other books, of course, but that's still on the bestseller list after 5 years. Even this month, it's on the bestseller list. And now there's a new one that's going to be coming out called When Your Adult Child Strays, Trading Heartache for Hope. And I'm doing this book right now, and there's going to be a course with it. And we have other books on sexuality and things like that that are really, really making a difference all around this world.
So with all the things going on right now at HomeWord, here's what you can do. God is putting in our heart this desire and this plan to expand our Refreshing Your Marriage conference that I recently attended, and it helped my wife and I have a breakthrough that God was working in our hearts for a while. But beyond that, I saw other couples experiencing the same thing. So we are going to expand our Refreshing Your Marriage conference, take it to other cities, and we want to be able to not only help make sure that happens, but also those that can't afford it, that need to be resourced and some scholarships. So we want to make sure nobody misses out on a chance to get their marriage refreshed and to draw closer to the Lord. So I'm asking you to make a special gift above and beyond to support that. Thank you so much, HomeWord.
Welcome back. I'm Jim Burns. This is an incredible conversation. I know you are probably loving this as much as I am. So make sure you go to the podcast notes, get the information on Haven. I'm going to, at the end, have her kind of talk about what she's doing and what she's up to. But what a great conversation. So Haven, back to the e-course. In the e-course, you say there's a phrase, and it says, what we saw in our own family growing up. And that question, what did you see in your own family growing up? Now, we've kind of talked about that, but what I find a lot of times is our family of origin is so key and so critical. So what are people, when they take that course, what are they going to learn? What are they going to hear about when it comes to that?
Yeah, the whole point of the course is not to be like, we're going to finish this all together.
Right.
It's meant to be in chunks and actually have dialogue with you and your spouse. Aaron and I have done premarital counseling for a good number of couples. Mm-hmm. And we're like, it's not about talking to us. Like the whole we haven't faced each other. You talk to each other. And so I think that's the main thing, is it's spurring on good dialogue of maybe you haven't thought about it, or maybe you haven't noticed that what felt normal for you is probably the opposite for what your spouse saw.
Right. No, I agree. And, I was talking with a group, with a couple, 1, 2, 3 people yesterday. I'm going to do some training at a very large church in Atlanta to their premarital mentors. And they said, what do you want to talk on? I said, well, what do you guys want? And they said, well, would you be willing to do something on their family of origin, because it's so key? I said, oh, absolutely. I go, in our getting ready for marriage course, our premarital, we start with that. And then I said, it actually bleeds. You're talking about conflict. Oh yeah, there it is. You're talking about physical intimacy. Oh, there it is. Every aspect of life kind of sometimes comes through the family of origin, whether that's good or bad. So some of us, I came from a dysfunctional family. My family was not Christian. I became a Christian when I was 16, and there we were. So some of it was, I don't want to be like them. Mm-hmm. And they stayed married. That's what's interesting. 2 non-Christians at the point, they became Christians before they died. But, 2 non-Christians they weren't my models. They weren't my role models. But so much of who I am and how I relate to my wife, Kathy, is because of those guys, good, bad, or indifferent. And so we've got to learn that. And a lot of times we don't take that into mind. I really appreciate you saying that. Solvable problems and perpetual problems. Mm-hmm. So again, as you probably know, I write and speak on marriage. So I'm out there all the time doing this stuff. I didn't know. I assumed it when I saw this in your e-course. I kind of went, well, that makes sense. But you quoted research that said 31% of conflicts in marriage are solvable problems, and 69% of conflicts are related to perpetual problems.
Isn't that wild?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Now, again, I go back on the 50 years of my marriage, and we have perpetual problems that we still talk about. Now, ours tended to do with the kids, and it was when the kids, well, I don't know that we should do the diaper change this way. Now we're talking about, oh my gosh, these kids, it's still the kids, for us, but it's a perpetual issue. What do you do with that? So that's an interesting statement, but we want to do conflict better. How do we do conflict better? You talk about that in the course.
Yeah, so that research is from the Gottman Institute.
Yeah,
so it's Dr. Gottman. And I remember when we first heard it, it was from Dr. Kuhn. He was like, how many, like, percentage-wise would you guess are conversations you're going to have over and over again in your relationship? And I was like, 10 to 20%. Right. And he kept saying higher and higher. And so when it landed on 69%, I was like, that's so daunting. I was like, that sounds terrible. Like, why can't we just figure it out?
Yeah.
And then, like, the more that I've sat with it, it's actually kind of relieving. Like, it almost becomes where we're just like, oh, here's our perpetual issue.
There it is again.
Like, there it is.
What I hear you saying is that you're naming the perpetual issue.
Yes.
So some people, their perpetual issue is finance.
Yes.
Somebody else, it's the kids. Kathy's and mine is the kids.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is learn the perpetual issue. Name it.
Yes. And, like, it then adds almost a little, like, just separation or it's understanding.
Yeah.
And because it comes up again and again and again. And so, like, I feel like Aaron and I, we have, like, a couple. One of them is I'm more, like, socially charged by being around people. I'm also more driven, and I'm more, like, go-get ambition. And Aaron's more introverted. He's more artistic. He needs more space and more time and more reset. And, like, we're just very different. Where before I would be, like, hurt that he's not coming to, like, my cousin's 10th birthday party. And he's like, do I have to go to this one? He's like, you have 3 siblings and they're all married and we have we have a birthday party for your family all the time. And I was like, you don't care about family. He's like, I'm drained. And so I was like, oh, one, if I put my value on, like, of what I value, of how I get recharged and enjoying as something that you should be, that's not fair. And then I was like, pick and choose. I'm like, here are the top 5 important family events I'd like you to attend. Everything else is going to be optional. And I'm not going to hold it over your head if you don't want to go. And I'm also going to have a united front with the family and not be like, yeah, can you believe this guy's not here? Like, I'm going to have your back. And maybe I'll disagree privately, but I'm also, like, I'll see it as a perpetual thing of, like, yeah, you're never going to ever want to do all the things I want to do. Like, that's never going to be who you are.
So good. Wow, I wish the world could hear what you're saying. That is just so key, and it's so good. So in there you talk about defensiveness, and again, I'm going through the course, and there's not much more. We don't have much time left, but you kind of have, defensiveness is what we do in communication, and we suck at it. And because as soon as we get defensive, we kind of break down the intimacy, and it doesn't work. But we all get defensive. And there was a phrase in there that said the cure to defensiveness. What is it?
The cure to defensiveness is finding the truth in what they're saying.
Yeah.
And so, like,
so good.
And there's so many different ways we're defensive. So that's the course. It's like almost like akin to war. If you're being shot at, like, how do you respond? Do you, like, go bunker and, like, hide, play dead? Do you go call in for backup, talk to other people? Yeah. Do you fire back? Like, sometimes it's a combo of stuff. And so when you're feeling defensiveness, because again, sometimes even if it's a complaint and not a critique, you feel defensive. Like, it's very human nature. So we do have to slow down, and it's like, if it's you're always late, What are you talking about? I wasn't late yesterday. Like, that's how it comes in. What's the truth in what you're saying? The truth in what you're saying is I was late today. Yeah. That's what we can actually universally agree on, is the fact is I was late today. Yeah. But it's even going beyond that and hearing what is the ask? What is the ask between this complaint you're sharing, this critique you're throwing, even if it's not worded the way that's actually, like, would properly help me? Yeah. What's the ask? The ask is, will you please be on time? Yeah. And that's what we can work for.
It's not insight.
Yeah, it's not this, like, showing all the reasons of how I wasn't late before, or what's the valid one of what I was late today. Right. The truth in what you're saying is I was late today and it had a negative impact on you. Yeah. And the request that you're asking is for me to be on time in the future.
Yeah. You just told me earlier that you're not an expert on marriage, but I'm kind of disagreeing because what you're telling us is so key and critical. I mean, honestly, it's so good. My goodness, time has flown. We don't have much time left. But I want our listeners, our YouTube viewers to, and and they're probably taking notes on this, conversation and deciding who they're going to send it to. But
not your spouse. That's not going to go well.
What's that? No,
don't send all the ways that they need to change.
Oh, exactly. I've tried that. Believe me.
I was going to say.
Kathy one time said to me, I was doing a thing. I speak for Chick-fil-A sometimes, and I was speaking
casual.
And she said, "So, was that to the crowd or was that to me?"
Right.
Talk about defensive, and I kind of went. Do I lie?
Yeah.
And it wasn't only to her, of course, but I said, well, I gave a couple of illustrations.
There's no good response there.
Yeah. And she goes, I'm offended. And I was like, well, it's still true. But, anyway, it didn't go well. So that night didn't go as well as I'd hoped. And I was talking on communication of all things. So again, these people are, going crazy with this stuff. They've got to learn. They were going, I need to know who Haven is. I have to go find her. I know it's in our podcast notes, but tell us if they're going to find out more. They want more Haven. What can they do? Where can they go?
Well, I'd be curious your audience because I always end with my socials because most of my audience.
Sure. They got it. No,
so it's at Haven the Podcast. That's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then long form, the podcast is literally Haven with an exclamation point. Apple, Spotify. The website is havenpod.com. Pillow Talk website is joinpillowtalk.com. And we have, the first course is How to Fight Better. Our second course that we have coming out is Postmarital Counseling.
Oh, very good.
So that's what we've heard is like, we're going to workshop a premarital one. I feel like there's a lot out there, but there's not a lot of like, what if you've been married?
Yeah, right.
What does the tune-up look like? What is the, like, you're in this, bad habits are there already. Like, what do we do for the postmarital?
I love that you're doing that. Doug and I have a book called The First Few Years of Marriage, and we think that's maybe our most important book. Getting ready for marriage is key. If people will get premarital counseling, there's a 31% better chance. This is a government study. 31% better chance that they'll stay married. And it's not about who's ever marriage counseling, premarital counseling stuff you use. It's just if they're willing to do that. But it's the first few years where they make the solid foundation things and they're busy. Maybe they've already made a baby, coming into this. And so I hear you. I'm going to become a fan of this next course. When's it out? When can I get you back on to talk about it?
TBD. My producer had a baby, and so he was out on paternity leave. But to your point, people statistically go to counseling 7 years after when they should have started.
Yeah, it's a great point.
And I almost see it as like, for me, like, especially learning early on, I see our marriage as like almost as like, just go to the dentist. Like, don't wait for a root canal.
Right. I'm so with you.
Don't wait till when it's like in dire straits. Like, what are you missing right now? What are the cavities that are problems? What's the like insanely unhelpful, like content and resentful habits that you're accidentally doing because you're busy, because you have a baby, because things are going on. Sure. Like, but if you don't invest in your marriage, it will cost later. And I'm not just talking financially.
Oh, yeah. No,
but it will cost financially later.
This is another conversation for another day. But, the latest statistic is that 69% of men, when the couple has a baby, say that their marital happiness goes down, and 49% of women. That's not, they still want the babies, but they've got to be able to figure out how to do marriage now with a baby and diapers and lack of sleep and all that kind of good stuff. So I can hardly wait to get your course and take a look at it.
Well, I'll add one to the people in that of what helped us in that. There's a book called In Baby Makes Three.
I love it.
I'm
That's
sure
a Gottman book.
It's classic. But what we did was, before we started having kids, I was like, I don't want this like hard deadline and we're all of a sudden focusing. We read the book before we were ready to have kids. And what we did is every week we'd each read a chapter. We'd go to the same coffee shop on a Friday morning, and one of us would have discussion questions. Because I was like, before the stress of like, we have to like get a registry and a baby, like, who do we want to be as parents? What do we want to bring in here? What are the discussions we can have while we're relaxed before it becomes super stressful?
You're amazing. I could talk to you all day. I'm just telling you that. We're going to stop this. Well, I want to say a couple of things, but thank you. You're amazing. You're authentic. You're brilliant. And you're only 33. Of course, that was the age of Jesus, So when he was hung on a cross. So I'm not telling you you're going to be hung on a cross, but look at what he did and what he accomplished in a short time period. So you've done so much. Thank you.
I mean, I like being here. You're really gassing me up.
I'm telling you, my gosh, my mind is blown. So
well, I was thinking because you're doing the intro and you're like, oh, we haven't had like hormones and drama. And I was thinking, I'm 33. I definitely have hormones and drama over here. I think they're just talking to their husbands now with it. It's off your plate. No, I was like, I still got them.
No, they have hormones and drama still. We see it periodically. And we see it with their husbands. I'm like, oh, gosh. One of the husbands, I can remember saying, I did the wedding. Life is not going to be boring. And he has quoted me that many times. He goes, at our wedding, you said life is not going to be boring. It's not. And I don't think he's always saying that in the most positive of statements. But anyway,
no, we're going to give a generous assumption. It's always positive.
Absolutely. There you go. Hey, before we close, I want to talk a little bit about communication connection. In line with what Haven was talking about, I'm so grateful for her input. I want to give you 3 simple things you can do. And these are weekly connections. Remember, we talked about communication being a learned trait. So number 1, I'm going to challenge you to do this, okay? I'm going to challenge you to do it starting next week, okay? Are you willing to give your spouse 1% of your week? Okay. Now look at if I could see you and you had your hands raised, everybody better put up their hands. And if you didn't put up your hands, then you're a loser. Okay. Because 1%, would you do that? If you'd give your spouse 1%, that's 90 minutes a week, and that's a date night. Okay. Now, when Kathy and I first got married, we didn't have enough money to go on fancy dates. So it might be, and as kids came, we would put them to bed just early. In fact, I know I shouldn't say this to you all, but we would kind of we might even move the clock and go, okay, it's bedtime. It's only 7, and their bedtime is like 7:30 or 8 when they were younger. But we go, okay, it's bedtime, put them to bed, and then we'd cuddle up on the couch and eat Chinese food and watch a movie or something. But what I'm saying is, if you're willing to invest in connecting on a date, that's a big deal. Research says that if you do that actually you'll have better physical intimacy, you'll have better relational intimacy. So are you willing to do that? Okay, make a commitment. There you go. Secondly, if you're having trouble finding time, like for Kathy and I, bed is not a time for us to talk about calendar, money, schedule, kids who are, all over the place or whatever. It's really bed as a place for sleeping or doing that other thing that we talk about sometimes on this show. So what I'm saying is schedule time. So it's funny that, Haven talked about a meeting on Friday. So Kathy and I have a Friday meeting every week where we kind of talk through the stuff. And, it's never like one that we're excited about. Well, sometimes I am because I like to get through the calendar and all that. But we talk about calendar and we talk about finances or whatever it is. But I found that gets us out of the way of, what's kind of just at 10 o'clock at night or at 11 o'clock at night, we're kind of talking through things. So if you can schedule a meeting, schedule a meeting. Yours may not be, by the way, Friday mornings. Okay. We could do that with our schedule, but it's hard, but you just do it. If life is crazy and you have little kids, so, let them do something and you sit for 20 minutes and kind of work through that. And the last one is spiritual intimacy. The least developed area of intimacy with a lot of Christian couples is spiritual intimacy, spiritual connection. So the good news is you can do this in a short time. We made a commitment several years ago, and some of you have read my book called Closer that I wrote with Kathy, and we challenged couples to spend 20 minutes a week in spiritual intimacy. So, anybody can do that. Now, again, you may think that's spiritually wimpy. What I'm saying is if you're not doing it, then start that way. Now, ours isn't all that exciting. I mean, if you take the book that we wrote on it, it's a scripture, it's a faith conversation, and we pray together, okay? And you know what? Over the years, I think some of the anointing of God that comes in a good marriage, in a healthy marriage, good parenting, comes out of, for us anyway, comes out of that 20-minute thing. Now, you've heard me talk so much about how busy we are and this breathless pace in which we live our lives. Now I'm adding something, so you may have to pull something back. But that's just a good way to kind of think through some of the things you do with your marriage. We could go on all day, but listen, we got to cut this. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much to Kelly Fellows for setting this one up. He's here in the studio with us, and always Elijah and Mike Segovia and all the rest of the crowd that makes this thing work, and grateful to them. Also, don't hesitate to get to Haven and see what is going on with that podcast. I loved the podcast. Like I said, I listened to it just the other day. And don't miss our sister podcast called Embracing Your Season, Parenting the Littles, Understanding Teens with Paige. And Paige does an amazing job. So if you haven't checked out that podcast, check that out sometimes too. Okay? Anyway, there you go. Enough housekeeping. I'm Jim Burns. You've been listening or watching HomeWord.